How's it going, guys? Balder here, and apparently a jet bridge is eating my airplane. Anyway, it's early morning in Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta Airport, and I'm going to be doing a flight from Atlanta to New Orleans in the Airbus A320. So let's go ahead and is it Alt L or is it Control L? Not sure. One thing that I find it hard to. I'm just going to press the magic green button. There we go. Yeah. I have to admit, one of the biggest issues I have with Flight Simulator 2024 is how the control surfaces or how the controls differ from FS 2020. It's it's the slash key if you want to raise your landing gear. It's the colon key if you want to. No, it's the comma key if you want to update the barometer. But either way, let's go ahead and continue since everything seems to be starting up. This is not an official startup of the plane, just so you know, but we are going from left to right, bottom to top. Goes from there, and we need to get our dome light on, and let's go ahead and test our lights. These lights seem to be good. All right. Anti-ice is good. Cabin pressure is good. Testing battery. External power's on. Let's get those fuel pumps on. Get an electric pump going, just because we will need it. Well, technically not, since it's a flight simulator, but you know what I mean. APU is good as well. And engine 2. Alright, everything's good in that regard. Now for the part I hate, the cargo smoke test. I'll have to wait for a little bit, then it'll come back again. Cargo heat going to aft, and that'll only be a few seconds. I don't know why it repeats itself, but it is kind of annoying. Alright. Got that out of the way. Let's get our standby attitude indicator going. And we're going to just double check. Panel light works. Auto is already on. Let's go to system and power to it. There we go. As for the, let's see if my track IR will work with me. Turn it on, standby, and then to TA. I believe that's all we need to do, so let's go ahead and get our stuff going. Well, before I do that, let's start with our mass and balance. So this is planned 179, 5,845. This is going to be having cargo in the aircraft as well, so gives us 27 minutes to get everything set up. And I don't think it departs until later. But let's go ahead and take a look. It is currently active, 21st of March to 17th of April. It is currently the 22nd of March. So let's go ahead and get that going. I'm actually going to have this in my other screen. Gotta love dual monitors. Yeah, so it is at Atlanta to New Orleans, KMSY. I could always press that request button, but I don't think so. KLFT cost index is going to be 5 because, all right, 36,000 feet for, really? That was kind of a big dumb. By the way, I think I might actually do the full flight of this. Obviously, there will be a shortened version, but, you know, I just want to do the full thing. So, all right. It is going to be Delta Airlines 3425. So, and there we go. I almost put it in the alternative route. Anyway. Now that we got that, let's go ahead and get our flight plan going. It's not exactly a lot, I should say. So let's go ahead, get our departure. And departure is going to be 26 left. Of Halo 3. With the Sarge transition and insert. From there, it's a direct to CEW. So CEW, Airways, and it's going to be J2. To SJI. Simple as that. Get our temporary insert going. Flight plan discontinuity, sure. But let's go ahead with KMSY. The arrival is going to be 29, ILS 29. With Minister 1, and the transition is SJI. There we go. Got some crap we need to delete. Now for the alternative, let's go ahead and check the PDF. Please don't open my browser. Oh, it did open my browser, but just not anything big, so let me double check. All right, so it actually looks like there is KLF2 would be hatch. Let's go with the one in the Western Hemisphere. Clear that discontinuity.
Traffic.
Of course there is. Let's see what the traffic says. Holy shit. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic. Please tell me my TCAS. Well, my TCAS is... I'm going to put it on standby. Yeah, I don't need it to be on TARA, because RA will basically mean that their TCAS will flag my plane that's parked on the ground, which is, as you can imagine, not a good thing. Looks like a wacky little flight plan. And here we are. Looks good to me. Change it to ARC. Still quite a few people who have not boarded. Alright, so we'll just wait for that. 29.97, alright. In 56 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to be leaving earlier than that. Yeah, apparently it's not even going to give me maximum landing weight or go above maximum landing weight. All right, so something I noticed is that the V1, the rotate, and the V2 are all 150. I don't particularly believe that, so I'm going to have V2 be 160. And then flaps are going to be 1/down DN. And I don't think it's much. Hang on, let me check my photos. Yeah, I take pictures of things to make it easier. All right, so 0.5 works for me. Flux temp is going to be 59. All right. Everything looks good. Climb's going to be managed. Yeah, that works. Cool. So I think that things are good to go. Let me just double check the company messages. All right, extra time. Cool. Anyway, menu, Atsu, C menu, received messages, load sheet, accept, and return. All right, that works for me. Okay, so now that we got all that, I don't think we will need the jet bridge anymore, so go on, stop eating my airplane. There we go, as well as the chocks and cones. So for here, I want to explain that I am not particularly the biggest fan of IFR flight planning in this game. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to essentially
Atlanta Airport information Kilo 2300 Zulu. Wind 245 at 5. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 17. Dew point 11. Altimeter 29.
all right. We're going to be departing west.
Ground, Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey with Lima. Request taxi to the active. West departure.
Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey. Taxi to and hold short of runway 27 right using taxiway. Contact tower on 123.85 when ready.
All right. Request.
Ground, Airbus 6 November Whiskey requests runway 26 left.
Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey. Taxi to and hold short of runway 26 left via taxiway. Contact tower on 119.5 when ready.
All right, that works.
Taxiing. Hold short runway 26 left via taxiway. Airbus 6 November Whiskey.
I guess I'm going to end up on the road anyway. doesn't matter. Aircraft have the right of way over ground vehicles. All right, now that we got that, let's go ahead and get our beacon on, and we can turn our overhead lights off as well as the dome light. We don't need that anymore. Nor do we need these lights. Or these ones, come on. There we go. Alright, starting engine number 1. And 2 picks up pretty quickly. Is it gonna get weird and oscillate on me? Yeah, a little bit. It doesn't matter. Fuel has been introduced. RPMs are increasing. Alright, that started up nicely. So something you may or may not have known, but in terms of Delta Airlines, what they will do is that they will taxi on one engine. So let's get our parking brake going. Get our flaps up. Auto brake is max. Or flaps to 1, I should say. All right. Got our flight control. Left is good. Right is good. Up. Down. Left. Right. Perfect. Either way, let's get our landing lights on. Strobe on. TCAS on, or transponder on. And now...
Atlanta Tower, Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey, ready for departure to the west at runway 26 left.
Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey, altimeter 29908, departure to the west approved. Cleared for takeoff, runway 26 left.
All right, clear for takeoff, 26 left.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 26 left, Airbus 6 November Whiskey.
All right, we are rolling. All right, positive rate climb, gear up.
Airbus 6 November Whiskey, continue for west. Airbus 6 November Whiskey, leaving my airspace, frequency change.
We'll adjust that later. For now, we got to focus on taking off. Start climbing.
Atlanta Tower, Airbus November Tree, 76 November Whiskey, frequency change.
Yep, frequency change and whatever.
Atlanta approach, Airbus November Tree, 76 November Whiskey, is type Airbus A320, 3 miles west of Atlanta.
All right, flaps up.
3300. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
Airbus November Tree 76 November Whiskey, Atlanta approach. Block 71 Tree.
Squawk 71 Tree, Airbus 6 November Whiskey.
Airbus 6 November Whiskey. Radar contact 4 miles north of Tree Golf Alpha 4. 4100. Cleared through the Bravo airspace.
Cleared through the Bravo airspace. Airbus 6 November Whiskey.
Alright, takeoff is looking good.
Airbus 6 November Whiskey contact Atlanta Center on 135.0. Good day.
135.0. Airbus 6 November Whiskey.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with it. I also wouldn't want to bother with that sun, and it doesn't look like, well, we're not traveling in the direction of the sun anyway because we're going westward. Now that we've passed 10,000 feet, let's get our landing lights off. Ooh, that was a TCAS warning. We're getting pretty close. Yeah, that was it telling me to stop climb conflict, jeez. But good news is we didn't get hit. And a beautiful Atlanta morning. Let's get our ground spoilers off. Roll back. Looks like I need to overcompensate a little bit. We'll be heading to Rivet. Yeah, pretty nice climb. Granted, I don't have all the fuel in the world, so it's not like it's huge. But even then, the climb rate is kind of nice. 2,800. Now we passed 1,400. Let's take a look at our cabin altitude. 3,350. Got it. Now let's check and see what our route will take us. Halo, Sarge, and then all that fun stuff. It looks like I'll be on the top of climb once that happens. That guy climbing or descending? I think that was a negative, right? Well, apparently I can't see 5 miles out, so best is to maintain a visual separation. Also to lower my nose so that we pick up speed. That one was right on my path and then just disappeared. I'm guessing it's going faster than me. Now we're at 18,000 feet, so standard. You know, the thing is, now would actually be a good time to use this. Oh, so it only pops up when I don't want it to pop up. Got it. Or maybe they changed it. Yeah, not gonna bother with it. I'm going to cross the Halo waypoint, and then once I'm at straight flight, I'm gonna engage the autopilot. Also, just so you are aware, this is going to be roughly a 1 hour flight. Not exactly a big flight, if you ask me. Well, still can't see the top of descent, so... 648, or Mach 0.65 for speed. Which, yeah, is about right. Oh, it all of a sudden got cloudy. Alright. Hello, random clouds that just randomly showed up. Alright, engaging autopilot. Alright, and off we go. All right. All right, so now we're going to turn on the fasten seatbelt sign. Yeah, it might be good to actually get the airport information. So KMSY METAR. Altimeter is 3,000, so 3000. All right, then 220. /8. I mean, looking at the path right now, it does seem like we will reach our top of descent. What about the deceleration? That's another one I'm kind of wondering about. I guess that's part of the deceleration. All right, there we go. And ooh, it looks like we are getting close to Louisiana. At least that's what it looks like. Or, actually, let me check, because it It does make me wonder where we are. Okay, so it looks like we're on the Alabama-Mississippi border. Not quite Louisiana. But regardless, it's still a pretty good descent. Okay, so that's why the descent was not doing so good. Or I was descending a lot faster than I normally would. Which will be a small correction. I'm pretty sure I don't need terrain, radar, or anything like that. Famous last words of a pilot, but we're not flying over mountains. But yeah, now that the descent queue has caught up with our altitude, yep, there we go. We're going to be descending alongside with it. Also, it makes me wonder if that can cause a delay. Since we're going down into lower altitudes, we're becoming slower. So with that in mind, it made me wonder if we were slowing down faster than the flight plan wanted. Which might be the case, though I'm not sure how that would cause a delay. Estimated time of arrival, or maybe 10:26. Oh yeah, that's Zulu time. Eh, whatever. Also, something worth mentioning, you're never going to see a plane depart 25 minutes early, even if all the passengers are in the plane, seated, and all the cargo is in and the fuel is loaded. Even then, you wouldn't depart just yet. Not giving me info. That's fine because I filled this crap out. And it doesn't look like there's any rain, but we're going to be in the thick of a marine layer from the looks of it. It's certainly overcast. Alright, so still going on the descent. If you're wondering why there isn't any traffic, it's because I turned it off. Let's keep it there for a little bit. Closing our map. Oh, yeah, you know what? Why is that intercept there? Do I really need HLV or HRV? No, I don't think so. Well, everything's still on its proper path, so we don't have to worry. So checking the cabin altitude, that looks good. I should probably, yep, altimeter 3000. That's what the METAR said, so there we go. And looking at it now, I'd say that's quite a good descent pattern. And then the RRES works. Gonna add some spoilers. Increase it to half. Yeah, we have a little bit of a hold on 11,000 feet. Same thing again. Well, at least get our landing lights on. Not quite yet. For flaps. Yeah, it's asking for too high descent profile. Oh boy, is visibility gonna be dog shit. Alright, well, that works for me. For the most part. And they're asking for such a steep descent. What the hell's decel? Think that's gonna be decelerate. Yeah, it looks like it. The biggest thing is that I need to remember to retract my spoilers. Currently working well as a way to not exceed the speed limit until I retract it, of course. Then the engine goes idle. Alright, so now we are going to be decelerating. And it looks like we're going to be putting all the flaps out. Alright, so... Come on. You know you want to. Flaps set to 1. Or slats. Cabin is ready. Works for me. I'm gonna put the auto brake to medium. Second notch of flaps. Landing gear going down. Flaps 3. and flap 4. Do I have visual on the runway? No. Also, my minimums are going to be 100 feet. Try and catch the localizer. No, didn't want to expedite approach.
$2,500.
Yep, there we go. Are we on the glide slope? I believe so. Looks about right. We're about to go into the soup. Alright, so we're starting to see ground. Good. If you're wondering, yes, there is a bit of a crosswind. While it's only 8 knots, it's also practically perpendicular to the runway itself, so definitely a lot of weather veining. Yeah, but here we are.
1,000.
1,000. All right. No visual on the runway. Okay, runway in sight. Yep, we're on the glide slope. Happy is guiding us in, or is that the Vassie?
500. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. Pitch, pitch.
Oh yeah, we are in fact below sea level. How about that? Get our flaps up. Alright, a little bit of a tight turn, but we got it. Is that the invisible ILS box? Or the flat ILS box? Well, either way, welcome to New Orleans.